Howdy, all you delicious people. I'm here today to review The Running Man 2025. Is this movie to be Sub-Zero or is it to be Plain Zero? So, first I'm going to go on and explain the positives of this film. Firstly, I would have to go on and say that the thing that sold me most of this movie was Glenn Powell's performance as Ben Richards. We would come to find that Ben in this movie is to be this hothead, this Wolverine-esque like character, very aggressive, is to really go on and have this short fuse. And so, really, also on the negative side, I can see where people could have a complaint about this character is that he could be kind of barbarian, caveman-esque, just wants to punch things, and I could see how that could be just a negative. And they may go on and they might like the Arnold version better. Speaking of original and extra crispy or remake, the similarities. We would go on and find that in this film, we have, and I think this is probably used in the trailer also, the mechanism that shoots them down that tunnel thing, same thing to be used both in remake and original. We in the original go on and have Arnold who turns to Killian, is like, I'll be back. And Killian's like, only need a rerun, and then shoots him down the tunnel. They don't do that exchange again here. They don't really do any of the lines from the original, any of that here, because this movie wants to be most of the time its own thing. But also, we have a very similar ending. Not exactly the same, but similar. We would also go on to have Killian at one point offering Ben a contract to be a future hunter. That is the same as original. Other than that, yeah, everything else drastically different. I'll go on and further explain that. For the for the Running Man 2025, we come to find that this movie is more of the hiding man. Ben in this movie is to be in these disguises that are very cheaply just a wig and a pair of glasses, and he's a completely different guy. Makes no sense. But it seems that Glenn in the past has gone on to do other movies where he's just been in kind of slightly tweakingly different disguises where you could, like, oh yeah, I couldn't really tell it was that guy. Whereas this one, it kind of goes into the further of cheaper route. We have Ben that is to, at first, I feel, have a character that is to help him out that doesn't seem convenient. But then we get further and further into this film. Man, like the randomness of Ben finding these likely people that are going on to help him out, just at that point, just no longer makes sense to me in this film. We also go on and have to have our character go into this 30-day stint of needing to survive, which honestly just does not make sense to me. In the original, we would go on to have the contestants need to run through all the hunters, and that's how they would win the game. That made a lot more sense. Like, we would go on to have, like, the Jason Statham Death Race movie, or Gerard Butler's Gamer, or The 10th Victim, and that seemed to be at a very much more smaller scale for how it seemed that very rare amounts of people would even be able to accomplish those set goals. 30 days to try to survive, like, that to me just does not make sense. I would even look at the Liam Hemsworth The Dangerous Game either show or movie. They kind of adjusted it to be two different things. And, like, even that, I'm like, yeah, there's no way that somebody's going to probably survive for, like, 30 days off of that. That just doesn't seem any much of sense to have that be accomplished. So, with this movie, I'm like, when I find out in this film that someone had lasted 29 days, I'm like, Sure. Sure. Uh, yeah, I'll buy that. Anyways, so also you come to find out that there is another character who is to have lasted for a very long time, and then that person is to be a person that they didn't show at any point prior to that. So yeah, I'm just like, okay. They never talk about it prior to that, and they never foreshadow anything. Nothing. So we go into this film, and it's a very stretched out variation of the original, I feel. And it's honestly a lot more boring than the original. It really is. There could be some things that can go on and get you actioned enough in this film, but it really does too many things where I'm just like, seriously, this is what we're doing with this film, and being disappointed by it, even though my expectations were very low. Yeah, that's just kind of what I overall felt about this movie. Is I was still disappointed, even though I didn't really have much explanations of it or expectations of it. I honestly am to go on and just realize that new releases now just have to just exist, put something out, and doesn't have to be written at all or well anymore. It just needs to be a thing that either is to be goofy or just to be plopped out there just for name value alone, to just have people just suckered into something, hoping that they've never gone on and seen uh, much of content in their life, to just be like, yeah, this movie was the greatest thing I've ever seen. And it's just like, but have you seen the original? Well, no. Well, like, maybe that's a problem. Maybe you need to see the original. Just so you can compare and contrast, and then and then come back to me. Because yeah, you'll definitely enjoy the original if you've never seen it before, compared to this one. If you're just going into this one, you're saying, "Man, this is better than the original," then I don't know what has happened to our society. I don't know what has gone on. I'm joking here. I'm obviously joking. Like, if you like this movie, that's okay. There is never a wrong answer in opinions about movies and shows and whatever. But, like, maybe me going on and stating what this movie is could make eventually more people like it more, because their expectations were even skyrocketingly worse than, like, I wouldn't say that this is a worse, like, I would just say that this is a, I want to say that this is a fine movie, but I don't think I can even do that. I just think that it's just, it's boring. It's boring. Like, that's probably my overall grading. It's a boring film. Like, I would say if you have 2 hours of your life to just, you need something to do, then then watch this film. You can go on and check out this movie on an app. If you have a Google Play Store, there's an app called Cinemas Life. Cinemas is plural, life. You can check out this movie now. It is to be playing there. There is other apps that I can dare in fact suggest to you that if they don't have this app, or if they don't have this movie, eventually they will. Eventually, at some point, also there will probably be a better, crisper version of this movie, because the movie that exists on a number of apps now are kind of the very bootlegish one. You'll be able to see the whole movie and you'll be able to get to see what's technically going on, but it's just not at a high level of version. And that is to be what Cinema Life has. But it's a thing that's easily available on the Google Play Store right now if you're a mobile user. Also, other apps. Clede Plus, KLEDE Plus. that could eventually have this movie available to you. You can go to a Google search apps called Zelifonic, Zelivonic, that may have eventually this movie available for you to check out, or go to just Clee Plus because it's the same freaking setup anyways. You can go on to search this on Google, an app called Moopzzi, Moopzzi. I tend to use this app specifically because it has a wider range of things to find. And very rarely I have to go on and go into much of alternative apps once I get into this. You get into Moopzzi. You may go on and you may need to download an APK of it. The logo of the app has a green M on it, and feasibly, like, it's a good way for you to be able to watch a ton of that you wouldn't be able to see anywhere else for absolutely free. Anyways, let's go on and get into full-on spoilers. I think it's about that time to just push into describing the whole film back to you, because I go through scene for scene, blow for blow. You know, the whole entire thing, to then have you go, oh, okay, all right, well, yeah, like, I can understand what he means by it being this or that and whatever have you. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about the original The Running Man film, because maybe a lot of people had gone on to check out that. Maybe a lot of people were fairly interested in what this remake had to offer, but maybe after I was going on and talking about it, maybe they got less discouraged. I would say, like, if anything, like, once this movie gets, I hope quickly, dropped on an app somewhere, check it out there. Like, feasibly, you won't have to run to the theater to see this. Feasibly, you won't have to go on and go through some app, which that I'm suggesting to you now. I'm assuming that this movie should get rushed to an app somewhere. It really should. Like, I don't think that this movie is gonna do gangbusters. I just don't think it is. I would be shocked if this movie is to be number one in the box office, because maybe nobody has nothing else better to do, and maybe Predator Badlands is to still not be number one in the box office, or whatever it ends up being. I have no idea. I have no idea what a box office things are going on right now, because feasibly, if it's not a Marvel movie or a superhero thing, then box office doesn't really matter to me. It really doesn't. Plus, also, there isn't a whole lot as far as new releases where I'm like, yeah, gotta see that. Like, I just went on and watched the Kevin and Alan Richardson Playdate movie. That movie is nonsense. It's goofy, fun. Like, I like both of those actors. That's why I was kind of clickbaited into it. But it's pure just nonsense. Like, I watched it casually in the background as I was kind of doing something else, so I'm not gonna review it. There's no way. I'll just talk about it now. Like, we have these two characters. They go on to become like quick best friends. Like, Alan is more like wanting to be this guy's best friend than Kevin's character is, and we go on, and this movie ends up being that Alan's character is to seemingly just randomly find this kid and kind of become his dad. And he's like, well, yeah, like, this kid isn't biologically mine. And then come to find out, yeah, the kid is biologically his. And it's because they bizarrely decided to clone said kid. And then further finding out that there's just this place somewhere where there's just a ton of these clone kids that are just hanging out somewhere to eventually be these super soldier things, because they're supposedly even much more so better than Alan Richardson's character in X number of ways, but they're children? So, yeah, this movie is to go on and just be like a lot of just stuff, and then they just wrap it up. We have, at some point, this kind of reminding me of like the Tom Arnold carpool movie at some certain point, because they have this like thing where they go on and they're in this van and they're being chased by all these guys, and like that very much reminded me of like carpool. And then after that, it's just kind of like them hodgepodging, going to a number of places, and them trying to uh like fight these spy guys, or Kevin is having his own problems, like kind of being kidnapped and being in these certain places with Alan. Yeah, so it's nonsense. It's feasibly to just be like, if you again have nothing better to do, if you need a movie that's just background noise while you're actually doing something actually important, then I guess Playdate could be just something that you're just have in the background as noise, because you're not really going to really watch this movie. You really aren't. You shouldn't be dedicating your time to really and truly invest in sitting down and hunkering down. Like, hey guys, Playdate! When you could have feasibly like X number of options at your fingertips. So, with that said, let's go in and pause here for a second. All right, spoilers, everybody. Spoiler time. So, there are two things that really bugged me about this film. So, one thing is Michael Cera's character, who is to be, I believe, Elton in this movie. Michael Cera's character goes on this whole story just because Ben ends up asking him about, hey, you have a hot dog cart there. Why do you have it? And then Elton goes on to this whole story about this guy's dad being a cop, and I'm like, wow, we have to take so much time on this? Also, we have Ben at one point with this girl, Amelia, and they're in the car together. Ben allows her to go on and go on to this whole tirade. It's like, hey, you know what? I feel that you are to go on, you need to get something off your chest, so I'm going to let you get all the freedom to be able to go on and do that. She goes off and she's like, oh my god, you're Ben Richards. Like, you're the guy that like doesn't have a job and is run out on his family and and killed all these people. And Ben goes on and hears this woman out and then stops her. It's like, well, yeah, well, you know what? I'm doing this whole game thing. Here's a picture of my family. That's why I'm doing it. And also, you have a scarf. Once we get to the whole scarf thing, I'm like, oh my god. This thing is just like, you're poking fun at people that probably have a lot of money. As well as also, like, I'm sure that these people that are doing this project, they're making a lot of money. Just the rabbit hole that I could probably go into here, but I don't, like, it's a crappy thing for me to do so about the whole scarf thing, but I'm just like, you should not really go there. You really shouldn't be poking at somebody like, well, hey, money, and like, your scarf costs more than the medication for my daughter. It's like, Ben, isn't your wife and daughter right now, aren't they treated really well right now? Because you're doing said game, and all of a sudden Ben has money coming from where I don't know, but he continues to seemingly have it, and I don't know how he's getting money. Ben goes on and he's like throwing money at all these people, and I am so freaking confused of like, why is he even doing this game if it seems that he has all this money that just comes out of nowhere? That he can just pay for all this stuff now, and he's throwing money at these people. I am so confused. Is he just assuming that he's going to win this 30-day thing easily and get a like a bajillion billion dollars or whatever? And Like, so he's just throwing money willy-nilly? You would assume this guy would know he's gonna die soon. So he should not be throwing money around. But it's whatever in this film. So, anyways, the beginning of this film has been in this this factory. And so Ben, it seems, is to state that I'm not angry. I'm not asking for special treatment. I'm not haggling. I'm not begging. Ben comes to his previous boss here, who is to go on and be Richard. Man, these names are very creative in this film. Richard Manuel. So Ben comes to Richard and goes on to state that, hey, like, I need to keep my job, and like, my daughter, she's sick, and Richard is like, oh, so you're throwing this in my face? Like, you're going on and you're bringing this daughter to me as a petty plea? Like, no. Like, if anything, like, you're lucky that you were to go on and get out of this warehouse, this factory alive. So take that as a win. And so the more and more that these two are bickering back and forth, Ben is eventually going to realize that he's not going to get his job back, that Ben is going to eventually lose his cool because he brought the baby along with him so that he could keep his cool and not get angry, because Ben focusing on this kid was to kind of keep him more calm. But yeah, Ben is not going to get out of this with getting his job back. So he leaves. He goes on and sees at a TV screen next to him the whole Running Man game thing, and it's an advertisement for it, trying to recruit people because, like, hey, yeah, you too could go on and be on the Running Man. And Ben is looking at his kid. He's like, well, yeah, I'm not that dumb. Like, I'm not that crazy. We're not that bad off. Like, I don't think I should go on and do this show. So, but here's the thing. After Ben goes on and sees that advertisement, he starts to watch the telly. He starts to watch the TV. He starts to go on and watch one show called the Speed the Wheel. Speed the Wheel? So, we come to find a host who is to go by the name Greenbacker. Again, these names are just well thought out. It's amazing. Greenbackers? Why does it have to be plural? Also, the actor who plays Greenbackers, I was like, hey, yeah, like, the guy from that one Will and Something, that one show I know him from, and Will and Grace or something like that. Yeah, is that right? The funny thing of it is, like, this guy, like, with how he just looked in this movie, unrecognizable to me until I saw him in the credits. I'm like, oh yeah, Will and Grace, like, yeah, that guy is, yeah, whatever. So, because I was looking through the credits, I'm like, when was he in this film? And like, oh yeah, he was that guy. So, anyways, to this game, we come to find out that this is like a hamster wheel game, and so this guy's going on and he's legitimately running on this hamster wheel, and they're going on and they're asking him multiple questions, or multiple choice questions. So it seems that we have Ben who's going along, and he's starting to answer these questions along with the guy. So to really just showcase here that Ben, it seems, is to be intelligent, is to kind of know his stuff. And that Ben, it seems, will probably figure out that he has enough skill to probably be in one of these shows himself. So, and that's when eventually he's going to turn to his wife, Sheila, and tell her as she makes her way home. So, Sheila goes on and makes her way with drugs for her daughter. And I don't like to say the word drugs, plus also it's kind of concerning if I ever say that and YouTube hears me. Oh no. Anyways, Sheila comes with medication. My bad. I knee jerkingly said the D word. Medication. And come to find out that it's a very low level of medication. Because she had gotten this from a dealer instead of an actual place. So Sheila is going to go on and turn around here and decide to do some waitressing and try to convince Ben, like, well, yeah, if I just go on and if I do some waitressing, maybe if I talk to one of these executives, maybe I'll get them to kind of toss over a lot of money to me, maybe as a tip and whatever. And Ben goes on and says, you know what, that's really honestly a very dangerous idea because if anything, like these rich people, these executives, they can look at you and want you dead. They can kill you. And Ben goes on to mention how there had been a person prior that had been found in a dumpster somewhere or been found in a barrel somewhere or something along those means. So it's like, yeah. So if Sheila just kind of looks at these guys the wrong way or whatever, yeah, it'll end up be dangerous for her. So Ben goes on to tell Sheila, hey, don't go on and be a waitress. I'm going to figure something out. Ben goes on to explain to Sheila that he's going to try to audition for a show. Because feasibly, he is to go on and look that any number of these shows, they have a really decent payout, so he can be able to go on and make their lives better, is what he's going to try to audition for this show. We would also come to find that their baby here is to have lost a sock of sorts. And this sock really is a thing that this child really needs. And Ben is looking all over the place for it, and he can't find it. So this baby is to have one sock less. Eventually, we'll come to find as Ben is to make his way through his clothes, his hoodie, and whatever. He has to go on and find it in his pocket, be like, aha, here's where the sock was. But there's nothing he can really do about it. So Ben goes on and is to try to give it to some other guy to give it to his daughter. And we go on and just have the sock being given right back to Ben. Like, oh yeah, you go on and you keep this sock for good luck. So I'm like, so like I'm trying to figure out, was it actually Sheila to have gone on and done that, or was the network just saying like, well, hey, that would probably be a thing to motivate him, like, so we should give it right back to him, like, aha, yeah, here's the sock. But also, like, the picture was there, and then he turned it back, and it had the writing on it, which we have to assume was actually Sheila's. So, yeah, and also the letter or the picture had said like, hey, keep it for good luck. So I'm like, so he would have to have known that this was Sheila's signature, her writing. Yeah, so I would like to hope. Moving on beyond this, so Ben goes out and he starts walking through town, and this is where we start to get the opening credit scene where you just get a number of names just being plopped off to the side. And it says Paramount and stuff like. So I'm sure eventually this movie's probably going to end up on Paramount Plus, and that'll be a big seller for anybody who is actually to go on and still be going into Paramount Plus at this point. Anyways, we get this long stretch of Ben just walking through the street, and not much is really occurring here. So Ben goes to this outpost, and they ask him, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And he's stating that he's going into the network building for tryouts, and they let him in. Let me pause here for a second. Ben goes on to make his way into the building to try out, audition, and what have you. And we have these guards here that are to go on and be uh, very swing happy, very like, yeah, let's club somebody. So Ben goes on and he starts waiting in line, and there's a guy behind him. And Ben all of a sudden noticed that the guy behind him is just, "Bah!" And the old guy says, "Oh, I think I could still try it. I think I could still do this." And then he falls over, and Ben is like, "Hey, this guy's in trouble. Hey, somebody help him." And for Ben's trouble, he goes on and has these guards start to whip out these like taser sticks out and start hitting him. And so he falls to the ground and makes his way back into the line. Finally, when Ben goes on and makes his way to these people that are going to analyze his career history, analyze him as a person, and Ben is to look at his at his layout of everything they have on him, and he's like, "Why is there a red triangle by my?" And he points it out, and the guy just continues to rattle off like, "Oh, you were fired by insubordination here, 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 here," and it seems that this guy's to be very difficult to work with. So further and further here, after the whole re-explanation of this guy's entire life, we just go on and have Ben's character who punches the glass and is to say it's like, hey, uh, they're not going to make glass thick enough for me to not break and not choke you out. So, and the guy turns to Ben and says, hey, elevator 6, there you go. Ben goes on, gets to elevator 6, and it seems that he has to go on and find a person that calls him neighbor. We have a woman here that is to be Lachlan. Lachlan and a guy named Tim will be two characters that Ben is to eventually seem to become friends with. You know how in the original film, we would have the guy with the glasses and the other kind of bigger set guy that is with Arnold in the film, and then we have the woman also there in the film. Like, yeah, like I don't like besides Arnold, like there's other characters, but I don't want to get into too much specifics about who they are because I don't want to offend anybody. But yeah, there are obviously like certain race characters in that film that would define, but I'm not doing that. I'm just saying, hey, there are certain characters in that film where obviously kind of seems that they were trying to do that in this movie, but yeah, uh, anyways, pushing on. So Ben and Lachlan they relate here because they're neighbors, and then they get in the elevator and they meet with a guy named Tim. Tim, it seems to be this guy who has to go on and say that his name is Tim because it has it on his vest. And Tim is to go on and I think want to do this show because it's maybe just cool to him. And eventually Ben will have to go on and save Tim at certain points, and Tim will go on and be grateful that Ben is going to go on and do so, because eventually Tim will go on and be able to be eligible to actually do this show. Sadly enough, he won't go on and last as long as Laughlan will, but he will still be there. Because I think Tim is to go on and try to maybe use the fame of him being on this show, and that'll quite possibly do him in, and I'll go on and I'll explain that later when eventually that happens. So now we get them to, I guess, do all these things to, I guess, audition for the show, but also I'm not really quite 100% clear if this is to all just be audition things, or these people to just get their stamina up as best they can, or just train for this show, or whatever this really is. But the first thing we go on and we see here is Ben going into this locker room to get this outfit. We see him going on this treadmill. One guy freaking eats it, and I was like, oh my god, all right. So we see that Ben is taking these certain things and balancing on this uh this steel uh balancing thing, and then we go on and see him do something similar with people next to him, that at some point this thing that he's balancing on eventually he starts to buckles or starts to slip down, and Ben has to go on and figure out a way to just continue on till eventually he can go on and get to this red button so he can hit it, and so that way he can seem to get further into the audition. We also have Ben going on and hitting this other red buzzer, so this sludge or sewage or something will go flying at him, and he has to go on and run and make his way to this ladder so we can climb up to it so he can be safe. What is this all things that he needs to do? I don't quite get why, but they exist for him to just be running through these obstacles. He climbs these rocks. He climbs uh, this climbing wall. He goes on through all these obstacles, and at some certain point, he is to grab Tim and try to save him because Tim slips and he grabs him, and we have Tim that goes on to thank Ben for saving him, and he's like, "Hey man, no problem." Uh, all of a sudden, there's to be a guard that is, I guess, upset that Ben had helped him, or I'm not exactly sure what exactly this guard said to Ben here, because I kind of kept shooting back to it a couple times just to try to get the gist of what this guy said. And I'm like, what did he say here? Like, I don't, but the guy goes on and whips this taser out to hit Ben. Ben grabs and is like, you aren't going to with me again. Like, you guys are going to hit me with this again. So he gets it. It's like, like, look at me. I'm stronger now. So Ben is going on and basically getting a psychological evaluation. He's going on and being asked what certain words mean to him, like abuse or freedom or justice, and eventually he has a comeback for most of them. Then we end up getting this Rorschach test of a thing that basically is them having a projector, all these weird, goofy Rorschach things that eventually we have Ben sitting, oh, it's a bunny, it's a this, it's a that, and eventually we'll come to have this analyzer that is to talk to Ben and say, you know what, you are probably the angriest man that we've ever had on one of our shows. And Ben's comeback is like, well, that really pisses me off that I'm the angriest man that has ever been on your show. Because again, a guy like that has to have that kind of comeback. It makes the most sense, and it's kind of funny. So now we go on to have Ben qualify for the show. And Ben goes to the locker room and puts his uh, jumpsuit or tracksuit on, and on the back of it, it says RM, which of course probably means Running Man. So Ben is going to be realizing that he's going to be a part of the Running Man show, and he honestly was to try his best he could to avoid it because he was wanting to go on and just do any of the smaller rung shows, but uh, Killian, who is to be Josh Brolin's character, I was trying to think of the actor's name. I was like, is it Josh? Is it Brolin? Josh? Anyways. We have Killian that goes on and convinces, surprisingly enough, Ben. It's like, no. Like, if you go on and if you do the Running Man, like, your family will be set up for life. All you have to do is just survive 30 days. Yeah, that seems easy, right? No. Uh, but going on and having a guy like Ben that could so easily be pushed over the edge, and probably also having Ben probably end up being a guy that's like, well, watch me beat this. Like, come on. Yeah. So we go on here and we end up having a promo package of McCone here. This is a guy that we have to just see in a ski mask the whole entire time, and eventually by the later act we'll see him reveal his face. He'll be on the plane and he'll eventually face off against Ben unmasked. So here's where we have Laughlan, Ben, and Tim go on and they do their contract signing one by one. So if we weren't to go on and think that these characters were to go on and be on the Running Man show before this contract thing, we have to cement it now. Also, in the original movie, there is that contract signing. We have Arnold that goes on and is to be having a lawyer, and Arnold signs the thing and presses the pen into the guy's back. We don't have that going on here. Basically, in this remake, we just have Ben who just signs a thing on some computer screen like thing, and then he has to put his fingerprint on there. Because, yeah, he does go on and he signs the thing. Like, a lot of this stuff is all just a formality to just waste more goddamn time in this movie. We know that Ben is going to go on and do the game. Why do we have to go through all of these hoops? It's just to be so baffling to me. Because we know he's going to do the game. Like, they have to go on and waste so much time auditioning him. And the audition part was just not interesting enough whatsoever. But anyways. After Ben goes on and sees Tim and Laughlan leave with champagne, we have Ben that is to go on and whip out his baby socks, looks at him. So Ben goes on and he meets with Killian. And the two of them chat. And Killian is aware completely of Ben's crisis, his family crisis. And Ben is like, hey, I'm going to definitely tell you now that we're going to take your family and we're going to put them in a secret location that so no one tries to rob them or kidnap them or anything, so that way your family's definitely safe. Because earlier, Ben would be asked about family, and Ben said the word everything. So Killian knows that Ben is to be having his family be the most important thing to him. That's why he's doing this whole thing. And so like that's like like Killian knows is like, yeah, this is a top priority and I'm going to make it so. So that way you'll go on and you'll have no reason to not want to sign any bit of paper that I toss in front of you, basically. So Killian also is to give Ben, hey, here's this envelope of money, here's a signing bonus. Like, so if you're going to sign, you're already going to get money. So I guess here is where we could understand how Ben already has this money, but still, it feels like he's just throwing it away in this entire film. And in my mind, I'm like, he could be dead any day now. And he's taking this money and frivolously blowing it the way it is. But I guess he needs to spend money to make money, I guess, in maybe this game sense, because the longer he can buy stuff like disguises and people's trust, the longer that he can live in this game. And maybe a whole lot of other people had not gone on and taken that into consideration because they probably assumed that they were going to die soon, or they probably wanted to die. And so we start to see that very much in the game when people are to die early, that it's like maybe they just wanted to die. Maybe that is feasibly what's going on here, that they wanted to go through all the hoops through getting into this game just so they could be killed, because that's the only thing that's like, yeah, like they knew that they weren't going to go on and really last 30 days, so they just wanted some kind of money, something, so that way they could just be like, okay, well, it's okay if I just kick the bucket now. I don't know. This is getting very sad, but if anything, let's push on here. So they also break down like how much money that this guy will get, and eventually they'll go on, and when they showcase the host Bobby, they have to break down the rules. Eventually Bobby will go on to this whole rant about they have to every day spend at least 10 minutes and do this clip and talk or do something. And Ben goes on and spends his first minutes just taking a 10-minute nap. 10-minute nap, that seems like a waste. Also, like, it gets to the point to where Ben just goes on and for that 10 minutes he just talks, and he either says something funny or he goes on to be like, hey, I'm still alive, Urs, and like he does that. And that's what we have gone on to probably see in the trailer at some point. So, as of course, gives the finger on the screen. So, we would go on to also have Killian here go on to tell Ben that 29 days has been something that someone has survived in the first season of the show. So it is feasible that people could last the whole entire 30 if they're just smart about it. So, like, giving Ben more of an incentive, like, dude, you're gonna make it the full 30. Like, if anything, you have the skill, like, you have the background more so than these other people. Like, we think that we're really gonna ride on you for actually going on and accomplishing this. Uh, so we push forward here. So, like, this whole meeting here is all to go on. And eventually push for Ben to sign, and he does. And we then go on to have Ben leaving outside the office, and then there's a guy waiting for him. This guy will go on to be the guy that is supposedly to be the liaison for Ben's wife and kid. So Ben goes on and is to tell this guy, hey, like, yeah, if you're going to go on, you're going to keep my wife safe and everything like that, how about you go on and give my wife this sock that I found? And so the guy's like, oh, okay, all right, well, so I think also maybe Ben probably just give the guy the money too. I'm not quite sure. I didn't quite see the transaction from that. I just know that he gives him the sock. So Ben also goes on and is to call Sheila because I think the guy goes on and is to say, it's like, well, hey, you get one phone call. You can call your lawyer, or you can call this or call that. And so Ben takes the time to call Sheila and is to tell her that he's going to be on the Running Man show. And Sheila's like, what? Like, you're on the Running Man show? No. And so, because Sheila is going to think that Ben is going to end up dead, but Ben is convincing her because Ben goes on and he promises Sheila just a lot of things. Ben goes on at first is like, hey, like, I'll promise this, and Ben eventually goes on and then like, hey, I promise I'll be back, and so he further and further just promises all this stuff, and it's like, dude, like, these guys will not let you live these 30 days. It's not gonna happen, or they're just gonna keep you forever. Or also, like, we come to find in this film that there is even a much more vicious turn that is to be much different than the original, which would go on and haunt Ben forever, even if he is eventually going to be alive by the end of the film, which mystery of that happening. But wink, wink, nudge, nudge, for those of you that actually gone on to know what happened in this film, this is spoilers now. If you've seen the original, it's the same. So, yeah, Ben makes it out at the end. So, we have Ben have some time before he actually goes into the show. Oddly enough, I don't know why that this Americanos thing, this reality show thing, keeps popping up throughout this movie. I think it's just something that they just needed to just F off with and just be like, hey, let's just keep showing this Americanos reality show thing. Just keep having it come up. Like, I'm just like, how is this specifically appealing to people that are going into an action film by watching their action star watching some reality show of, like, keeping up with the Kardashians or something? I'm like, who is this appealing to? Also, there's a certain aspect to this movie where Glenn is just in a very long part of this movie, just in this towel and seemingly nothing else. So I'm assuming that's probably to appeal to a very certain audience within this movie that's like, ooh, wow, uh, Glenn, he's basically naked in this movie. Woo, yeah, ooh. Like, I guess that is to appeal to a certain audience, is to appeal to probably a male, female. Hey, look at this actor. He's basically naked, or it's the teasing of that he's naked and he's dangling on this rope. Woo, whatever. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm just like, I guess this movie is trying to appeal to everybody, but it probably appeals to not much of anybody. But let me know in the comments below if we're still to be different than others. Maybe you liked this film just out of spite. Maybe you're like, no, I'm gonna like this movie, whatever it costs, I'm gonna like it. Anyways, so Ben goes on, and after he watches his reality telly, he then goes on and gets the picture, the yellow envelope, and gets a picture of his wife and kid, and it's like, hey, keep the sock for luck. And then we get to having Ben in a shower again. Who is this appealing to? I'm like, what are we trying to do here? Why is this scene important to the movie? It's not. So Ben is in the shower. He's watching like Bobby in the background doing stuff for the show. I don't know why. So hopefully we're gonna get to the freaking show at this point. Hopefully we get there some point. The security liaison guy, who again was to keep Ben's family safe, goes on and comes to Ben. It's like, hey, it's time. Let's roll. So the security officer goes on and gives Ben this like wristband or watch of sorts that is to go on and be like, okay, yeah, like this is a thing that you can like have this be on you. Like it shows like some reminders, some rewards you were to get, and everything. But we never really go on and look at this wrist thing for anything ever again beyond this point. Like, I don't think there's at any point in the scene where legit Ben is going on and needing to look at this wrist thing, like, oh my god, yeah, like day one is over with, or blah blah blah. None of that. None of that. There's never a callback to orange wrist thing that he has. Also, wouldn't you think that that would be a call for anybody and their brother to, if they see this big huge orange thing on this guy's wrist, that he's probably in the running game, and maybe people should be even more suspicious about this guy, regardless of any disguises that he has on. He has this big huge orange wrist of a thing. But I guess that's just me. So Ben goes out and he physically meets Killian face to face. And Killian goes on like, well, hey man, good luck, this and that. So Ben also gets a shot at seeing some of the hunters also while both him and Killian are walking. So Ben eventually will later on at some points get suspicious that hunters are after him. And this one scene of this guy going on and just having this cigarette in a certain way will eventually go on and make Ben suspicious that there's a hunter outside looking for him. So after Ben goes on, meets with Killian, right after that he goes on and meets with Bobby, the host. Honestly, to me, you would probably think that any number of these people would not really be physically there. You would think that all these people would probably be some AI or hologram thing or something, because like these people are probably so filthy stinking rich that they probably don't actually need to physically be there. But also, like, wouldn't they have safety precautions, like kind of like in the Escape from New York, Escape from LA thing, where Kurt Russell goes on and he fires the guns like, ha ha ha, we're all holograms. Ha ha ha, we're not really there. You would think that that would probably be the case of like What if any number of these people are to be violent or hostile or whatever? Like, yeah, why would you have that risk? Anyways, so Killian and Bobby are talking to Ben, and they're telling him that, hey, whatever you do is just a freebie. That if you go on and you yell and you scream at all these people, good. Whatever you're feeling at that moment, go ahead and do so. If you want to shake your dick at the crowd, go ahead and do it. But Bobby is to go on and say, hey, if you shake your dick at the crowd, they'll take it the wrong way. And if anything, you kind of want the crowd to be behind you. So, like, that's the weird, goofy thing that eventually Ben becomes a martyr in this movie. That eventually the people are to get behind him, like, oh, no, no, Richard lives, yeah, yeah, hoo la la, he's the hero. And that is to go on to be fairly similar to the original The Running Man, where eventually people are going on and putting bets of who is going to win the whole thing, who's going to be the hunter that kills the contestants, and then eventually there's one person that stands up and like, hey, I bet on Ben Richards to win. And they're like, wait a minute, what? Like, you're gonna bid on a contestant? That's never happened before. Okay, well, like, money on Ben Richards. And then everybody's like, yeah, I'll put money on Ben, I'll put on money. And like, yeah, everybody starts betting on Ben to win because he's been so successful so far. And so they're like, okay, this is something to bet on. None of the betting shit, none of that happens in this remake. That's what freaking sucked. I liked the betting thing in the first movie. That would have made all the sense in the world to have that be a thing now, because there's so way more things of betting things going on in this time period than there ever was before. So it honestly would have made a lot more sense for them to have gone on and done the betting thing during this time period. But whatever, I guess that's just a huge lost opportunity. That is the stupidest thing that they missed out on. So Bobby goes out there, and after this whole promo package of the show goes on, and they do the whole record report thing and so on and so forth. So Bobby goes out there to go on and explain who Ben is to the crowd here, going on to say that basically, like, this guy's a loser, that he doesn't have a job and that's why he's here, and going on and saying just all these hurtful things, like he run out on his wife, and his wife has this kid, the baby, and so on, that's sick, and yeah. And then they make up just a slew of just a bunch of shit, like I'm probably going on and paraphrasing and doing now, so I apologize. But anything to go on and just kind of get this kind of just compressed, and whatever I could remember is whatever I freaking remember, so I apologize. But hey, I'm just trying my best to rattle this movie off. So once Bobby goes on and starts talking about Ben's wife and his child, that's of course when Ben loses it. By the time that they finally go on and they give Ben this microphone, Ben goes on, he's like, I'm gonna kill everybody here, I'm gonna burn down this building, da la 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 la. And immediately the crowd turns against him, because obviously they should, because like, oh, you're gonna hurt all of us, how dare you? When really it's just like they've made up so much about him, they've gone on to just bury him and gone on to really just treat him so poorly, that of course, like, this is a guy with the short fuse, hot headed, this guy is gonna freaking just like scream out as much as he can. He's like, I like, if you didn't think I was gonna win before, freaking watch me, because I'm gonna beat everybody, I'm gonna kill her, I'm gonna do it all. So Ben goes back into the back and starts talking to Killian, And the two of them are just kind of doing this kind of bickering back and forth. And so Killian also goes on and tells Ben here, it's like, hey, just so you know, also in this game, if you kill any of the hunters during your time of being hunted, you'll get a $10,000 bonus. So, like, is that going to be incentive for you to still go on and do this show? If you weren't to go on and be incentivized anyways. Plus, also, like, you knew that all these people were going to be like, how much fabrication can we have of these people? How bad can we make them look? Even though people are logically like, they can't go on and find all the horrible and bad people in this entire earth and slap them on this show, but they have to anyways. The whole jail prisoner thing actually made a heck of a lot more sense than them just finding these people out of random nowhere. Like, that's when I would see stuff like Death Race and all these, like Gamer and all these other things, and to have a prisoner go on and try for his life to win these things, that made a lot more sense. Like in the original, how Ben was a prisoner and he's going on into the show. That, I think, made a lot more sense. This movie, not so much. So, but that's just my personal opinion. You can go on and have your own. Like, we can also go on and realize, like the 10th victim, how you can get just anybody and your brother, if they're to have certain skills and talents and whatever, that each of everybody can go on and have the ability to get into any kind of TV show and what have you. So yeah, this could also be feasible for a lot of people to think that this is the better idea. So Bobby goes on to explain a number of rules, and I've kind of gone on to explain it before about the whole, like, him needing 10 minutes to do these whole video things. Yeah, that's a thing they always have them do. And so they also go on and they talk about the hunters, and it seems the hunters are to be available for them to go on and see off in the distance. And so they go on and they take them all into the mechanisms that are to shoot them down in this tunnel. And so after they go on and they shoot down this tunnel, there's this door that opens that says go on it. And so they further and further walk to this table that just has all this crap on it. It has like guns, has all these this thing of clothing for them to go on and have. And the clothing that they were to go on and have was the exact same clothing that Ben had prior to him getting there. Also, it seems that probably all the contestants had this same exact outfit, bizarrely, that Ben had already had. So I'm very confused. Like, was there no other clothing choices that they could have gone with in this movie? Like, in this reality, does everybody just have a certain affordability to only have a certain thing of clothes? Uh, why was that choice made? If anything, I thought it was hilarious in the original, where Arnold is with the girl and they're on that bus or something getting to the plane, and the one girl says to Arnold, "It's like, well, I'm gonna puke all over you," and he's like, "Go ahead. You'll never notice with this shirt because it's a very Hawaiian tropical shirt." So yeah, so Arnold wasn't wearing the same outfit throughout the entire film. He switched it up quite a bit. Uh, After the whole yellow jumpsuit thing, then like the yellow jumpsuit was like his outfit through the entire film. Anyways, so once Ben gets out of here, immediately he goes on and he's with this cabbie that I believe in the credits his name is just Cabbie. So Ben is consistently going on and telling this guy where he wants him to go. And the cabbie goes on and quickly notices this guy and says, "Hey man, like would you like to take a picture with me? Like I won't go on and I won't report you or anything. And if anything also, you probably should not go on and tick anybody off because they'll probably report you." And Ben goes on and says like, "Well, yeah, like so I should probably be nice to every single person I meet or they're going to report me." So Ben goes on and eventually is like, "Well, hey, since you want to be in a photo with me, so how about we do this? How about we like park the side and we find some hooker and they can take a picture of us together?" And the cabbie's like, "Oh yeah, that's a great idea." So the cabbie gets out of the car and so does Ben and he runs off. And the cabbie's like, "Hey man, like wait a minute, what? Like you're going on and running off without paying my cab fare?" Yeah, because of course Ben wants to kind of save his money here, and I'm sure that's what Ben's plan was all along, to run away from this cab driver as soon as he was to get out of this car. So Ben is going on to get to this certain area for a very specific reason. Ben is going on and making his way to this certain area because it's the place where Molly lives. A guy who I would of course know him as like the shoveler from Mystery Men. He was on the uh, Chris Evans movie Cellular and a number of other projects that uh, really he's a really great actor, but heaven forbid. Oh, he was also in Shameless. He was the dad on Shameless. Why am I listing out this guy's resume? I don't know why, but I'm saying it anyways. So, if you guys have not checked out Shameless, it's actually a pretty good show. It also has quite a bit of skin on it, so there is that for you. Moving on. So, it also has the guy from The Bear on it. If you like that Bear show, you'll probably maybe like Shameless. I don't know. Depends on if you like a family show. Anyways, been ranting for too long. Moving on. So Ben makes his way to Molly, and Molly is to be the guy that is to seemingly have certain ways for Ben to get these fake IDs and be able to disguise himself and be able to make his way into these certain hotels without people any the wiser. But again, these disguises are really shitty. They're basically like, hey, put on a wig and put on a pair of glasses and put on a fake mustache and no one will know who you are, but the mustache won't last for very long because it'll already be slipping off and one kid will notice it while he's on this train, North Rail, something. So, but back to this film. So, Ben is going on and talking to Molly, and Molly's kind of upset that he like, well, hey, he knows he's on the Running Man. So it's like, hey man, you're doing this show, and I'm kind of upset that you're going on, you're doing this. Like I don't accept that you're going on doing this show. And Ben is like, well, yeah, but I really needed money. And Molly will eventually go on to reveal to Ben, it's like, well, hey, like I was gonna go on and I was going to actually hire you here. And like he opens up this box and it has his outfit. And it's like, well, yeah, like, look, I was going to hire you here, but it's too late now. Now you're doing this show. You're probably going to die. Like, there's no way I can justify hiring you now. So it's like, oh, that's too bad. So sad. So, but yeah, so Molly goes on and tells Ben, it's like, well, yeah, I pegged you for smart. And so, uh, yeah, Ben is like, well, Kathy was sick. Like, so, anyways, Molly goes on and tells Ben to go to a certain aisle and just kind of wait things out. And he's eventually going to go on and give him all these disguises as he's watching this movie. So, Ben gets his disguises, and yeah, it's just mustache glasses, black hair, black mustache. Yeah, I could never really tell that this guy's who it is. So They also give him contacts. I guess that's gonna make him look different. Anyways, so there's picture of this guy all over town. God, what? Hopefully he doesn't have a twin brother. Anyways, so Ben also is to come to find that there's a lot of explosives here, and at some certain points, Ben will come into explosives, or also just come to find certain areas are very flammable, and there's like a chain reaction that happens within certain flammable rooms. So Molly gives Ben these fake IDs and is to eventually go on and sends Ben on his way. Ben, before he leaves, is like, "Well, hey, like I had to do it, Molly." Uh, and that's when Molly explains, like, "Well, no, you really didn't, but hey, Godspeed." So it's kind of funny here. Ben goes on and is literally walking around with his disguise on, and right behind him there's to be this the screen here that shows his exact face, and it goes from this side to this side, and Ben is going on and doing the exact same posing that his poster is doing behind him. He's doing this while the thing is doing like this also. So just like, okay, all right. So Ben goes on and he makes his way into this. I'll say it's a train. That makes the most sense in my brain. So Ben is on this train and he has this orange necklace out. And we have a kid that notices Ben and says, "I'm sorry, sir, your face." And Ben grabs the kid and thinks like, "Oh, you notice me. If you say anything, like I'll kill your mother or kill you, something along those lines." And the kid is like, "Hey, man, all I noticed is that your mustache like was coming off." And then Ben is like, "Oh, like, hey, you want my snack meal? You want snacks?" And then Ben goes on and looks at his mustache, a reflection, and he corrects it. So he's like, "Well." Ben goes on and just takes the mustache off. So now the only thing that is to go on and make Ben different than his former self is a wig and glasses now. It's the only thing that he has left from this disguise. So Ben makes his way into this hotel, and remember, he has a fake ID here. So Ben goes to this counter, gives this woman this fake ID, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're so and so." And so she's like, "Oh, I see that you have a mustache in this picture. You don't have the mustache?" And he's like, "No, I lost it during the train." And I was like, why did this woman go on and need to ask him about the mustache? Was it only to just like reflect on the fact that this guy doesn't have a mustache now and to tell the viewers what happened to it? Whatever. So Ben goes into this room, puts a please do not disturb on it, and just hunkers down there. Ben then has to realize that he has to go and do his 10-minute video, so he whips off his wig and glasses so that way, of course, people won't spot him out around town. So Ben goes on and he does this 10-minute video. He says, "Well, guys, since I'm going to go on and do this 10-minute video, it wasn't exactly specific about what I actually had to go on and do in it. So I'm just going to go on and take a nap here, and you're going to see the back of my ass. So slap, slap. Here you go." So he just goes on and for 10 minutes takes a nap. So the next thing we see here is, again, Ben going on and watching this Americano's reality show. Man, this guy really likes this reality show. Good grief. And Ben starts to see the ticking of time of day one pass, and he's like, all right, at least one day down, 29 to go. Ben is to start to go on and sleep here, and eventually he's starting to have nightmares that there's a possibility that the hunters could have found Molly, that Molly could have given up who Ben really is, that the hunters could be figuring out exactly where Ben is or who his doppelganging disguise is, his Clark Kent Superman disguise is, and they're all going on into these alternative costumes that are coming for Ben, and they're going to be in his room thrusting a gun to his head, and then Ben wakes up and realizes that that was all a dream. So Ben goes on and he watches the telly, and he gets an update of the situation of his other people who are being hunted here. We would come to find that Ben is to watch Tim. Come to find out, Tim is to go on and make his way into a store and talk to a woman and be like, hey, like, yeah, you know that guy who looks like me on The Running Man, and he's this guy and is this name? Like, hey, he looked pretty hot, right? And the woman's like, yeah, sure, whoever that is. And so the guy is like, well, hey, yeah, like, I'm going to leave here and I'll come back. So the guy goes on and he leaves this store and he ends up getting killed shortly thereafter. We have Ben that is to go on and be very upset with how Tim was to go on and just be so stupid here, as well as also being always the person who watches a reality show of like, hey, I could have done it better, or like this guy was stupid, how dare he go on and do this, like how dumb is he, blah blah blah. Like that always kind of commentary that runs into every single one of our minds when we are to always go on and see this kind of buffoonery. So Tim ends up being dead. So we have Ben that is starting to realize his possible mortality, that he may not go on and last these 30 days. Also realizing if the hunters have gone on and focused so much so on Tim, and now Tim is off the board, it's only him and Lachlan now who are left. The girl, the woman. We'll come to find out that I think Lachlan is at some hotel somewhere because she'll go on and she'll have these clips, these 10-minute clips that show her at what looks like a strip club, casino, just these assortment of places that are, I think, way too public, but that's just her. So the paranoia of Ben is starting to sink in here, and Ben decides that he's going to quite possibly give up the room of which that he's being held in because he's thinking that he's probably going to be gotten next. So Ben goes on and is to kind of take some things and chuck them into a dumpster. He goes on to talk to the woman behind the counter to see if she can give him a reservation at least for a couple more days, and she does. Then Ben goes on and makes his way uh, to have this other disguise, and he's seemingly dressed like a homeless person. He's going on and he's talking to other homeless people, and he's trying to give them money for an exchange for clothes. Because it seems that Ben is trying to get a certain number of clothes. He's telling them that he was a soldier and he was deployed in Alaska and this and that. So the guy says, you know what, you're not convincing me that you ever were a soldier, but hey, like money is money. So the guy goes on and hands this guy a coat, and Ben goes on and takes this outfit and makes his way into this certain complex of sorts. We would here find that this old man is arguing with this kid. I don't know why this argument is happening, only but to say that this little kid is going to be a character that Ben is going to meet up with, which is going to be Ben's salvation. This kid is going to go on and have a brother named Bradley, and Bradley will go on and be the guy that is to have this panic room that goes on to show Ben the strategy of this show, and that there's a certain assortment of certain kinds of people that have gone on to do the Running Man, and what is the best strategy, or what have people gone on to do the most of on the show. We would find that certain people would seem to either want to die or are to be stupid enough to die so quickly, or we end up getting other people that are to realize also that they're probably going to die, so they do whatever they can to kind of go out with a bang, and then we end up getting uh, the the final dude or the final girl or the final whatever, and then it's being in all the horror films to be the person that lasts the longest, and then ends up of course being Ben, who's going to be the final dude, and that is to be the strategy of that character. But like, okay, well, let's see the final dude, and they assume that like, yeah, Ben, you're gonna be the final dude, anyways. So back to here. So Ben goes on to make his way to this apartment complex. He rifles through a bunch of stuff. He goes on to eventually find this grenade. He accidentally drops a grenade. He's worried that it goes off. It doesn't go off. So Ben is to eventually take the grenade and use it at some point later. Bobby goes on and does on the telly stating that, of course, Tim is now deceased, and we consistently have people do the quote of tune in and find out. That seems to be the quotable thing that they go on through this entire movie. I'm curious if the tune in to find out thing was on the original film or maybe it was in one of the books somewhere. But otherwise, I just don't quite understand why it was to be stated so often. But I think it is kind of a funny gag to keep using throughout this entire film. So it is also interesting that Ben is consistently hearing this show while he's going on and being hunted, to where it seems that Ben can kind of hear it in the background to see like maybe what people are planning or something of those means. Like it would be interesting if Ben had some kind of ability of having like a portable TV, so he can go on and see like what the bad guys are doing, so he can watch it the whole entire time and be like, okay, since they're here, I'm going to be over here, and that would be like a really smart move or a strategic thing to be like, ha ha ha, like I can always go on and avoid these people because I have this portable TV. They, I guess, didn't think that at all through this entire film. So Ben is going on looking out this window and seeing these three guys talk to one another. Ben is going on and pretending in his mind, because he's so bored, what this conversation between these three guys are going to go on and be. And then eventually, Ben turns to this homeless guy that is just shouting nonsense. And Ben goes on and he calls him Frank. And is telling him, hey, give it a rest. Like, hey, man, like, so Ben will go on and make his way through this apartment complex, and this is where he has the towel. Because this guy just loves a shower. So, Ben, when walking through this apartment complex, is to realize something. That the Frank guy had gone on and lit this cigarette. And the cigarette had been done in a certain way that reminds him of one of the hunters. So Ben is like, wait a minute. Like, are the hunters to go on and be near here and I'm not realizing it? And paranoia in Ben's mind starts to run amok. So, but it also benefits him because he starts to avoid these hunter guys. Because eventually there is to be a truck or a van like thing that comes with this kind of SWAT team or the what is the name of these characters? The NCG goons that just have these kind of SWAT like gear on them. So we start to realize that the hunters are making their way to get to Ben, and conveniently Ben goes on and is to open this door, and this old man is to be coming out of it at the same time, all while this hunter is to go on and start making his way through this apartment complex, all while Ben is right behind this door, not being noticed. So the hunter goes on and starts continuing to walk around here. I mean, it's like, ooh, that was close. So Ben goes into this bathroom, and he then goes on to realize that, like, I need to go on and I need to go back to my room because all I have is just this towel on me, and I can't get away with just a towel. It just doesn't make sense. He needs some kind of clothes. He'll stick out like a sore thumb if he just has a towel on him. So Ben goes on and breaks the mirror that is to be adjacent to him or in the room of him, and he makes this device where he can go on and use this mirror to kind of see around these corners to see if the hunters are going to be there. Because again, the no portable TV, no easy way to be able to see these people. So Ben goes on and starts to make his way up these stairs, and he shouts out in an accent not like him. It's like, hey, I just saw Ben Richards. He ran down the stairs. And we have to assume that all the hunters had heard this, and they're making their way down a certain area for Ben to go on and make his way into his room. One of the hunters overhear a window glass breaking, so like, aha, I knew it. So Ben goes on and he's now dangling on this rope via this Y lettered part of this sign, and he breaks the Y off, and he's now just kind of dangling off this Y, and it's almost kind of just leaning and what have you. So Ben is going on dangling from this rope, having this towel on him, And eventually he'll even further go on and rip the towel off because he needs to use the towel for something. He needs it to break into the window so he can get his stuff. So the hunters go into his room as Ben is getting his clothes on and he's getting his backpack on and he's trying to get the heck out of there. So he goes back outside on that rope and we see the McCone hunter, he's outside. We also go on and see that Ben has his camera that's kind of zooming around him. So Ben will eventually go on and find that he can just break through this window and fall through there, as there seems to be some guy that's just kind of waiting next to him. Ben starts running around this apartment complex and he goes into this elevator. The camera thing that seems to be just this robotic thing is continuing to follow him even into the elevator. And so now Ben's getting a little ticked off. So he's telling the camera, it's like, "Hey, stop filming me!" And he grabs it and he starts to break it because he wants to have this thing no longer keep tracking him. Plus, it's probably like worrying him even more so that he's going to get caught because these people are probably going to find him. So probably the whole paranoia of it all. Plus, also it's like it's annoying to have this camera around him at all times, just kind of watching him. So Ben gets to the point to where he opens his elevator door and McCone is there. Ben goes on and says, "Hey, I have a grenade," and he chucks it. And McCone is like, well, what good is a grenade? And he kicks it right back at him. So Ben goes on, has to get rid of the grenade, so he tries to. That works. The elevator falls. Ben comes to find this seemingly basement or underground area. He comes to find this newspaper. He lights it. He goes on to accidentally start to make this entire place that he's in start to light on fire because it seems that the entire area has flammable things in it. So further and further, this place continues to just start to light ablaze because every bit of it is to have some flammable thing in it. Ben realizes that there's only so much time left before this entire room blows up. Ben goes on and notices that there's a bunch of rats and they're all heading to one area. So Ben is to find out that there is some drain of some kind that is big enough that can fit him in there. So he opens the drain, slides down the drain, and eventually the entire room is to go on and blow up. Ben will come to find himself in some kind of sewer area of some kind, and he falls in this water. And he goes on to get his camera out, and that's of course when he goes on and gets on there, and he's like, "Well, hey, I'm still alive, Earth," like that kind of thing. So here is where Ben sneaks out of that place and goes on to find Bradley and his little brother. So Ben will go on and pay these guys, and eventually they'll go on and they'll say, "Hey, like, we're definitely gonna go on and want to help you, and so hey, just kind of come with us." So Ben is like, "I don't know about this. Like, okay, like I'll just trust these people." So Ben comes to these people's home, and they also have a mother there that I kind of question whether or not that she could really be trusted. But if anything, it's like it seems that Bradley is on the level of like, well, yeah, you can trust me, and I'll help you out, and I'll even give you this video telling you exactly how to beat this game because I just want you to. Because Bradley is just we're part of the rebellion because they want to see, I guess, like a poor guy like them succeed at a game like this, so someone could win. They also go on here and have Bradley and his brother, like they talk about their sick sister, and they talk about how it's kind of a struggle to have money for them, and it seems that I think that like that's the reason why Ben kind of gives them a little bit of money to just kind of help them out in this situation. So Ben also goes on and explains why he's going on and doing this, why because of his family, and like he can see that like Ben and they are kind of in like a similar boat. So here is where Bradley shows Ben the secret room. They talk, or they see this guy who's gone on to have this certain channel of sorts that talks about kind of conspiracy theories or the kind of the strategy of the Running Man, and breaks it down into certain types of people: the hopeless dude, the the dude. What is the other character here? I'm probably not gonna be able to find it. Well, the second person is the one that is to go on and want to get banged and go out with a bang. So, and then eventually they get to the final dude. So they go on and they explain this, and Ben is like, "What am I supposed to get out of all this? Am I supposed to get inspired by this? What is the reason for that?" And Bradley's like, "Well, no, I just wanted to show you this, just to give you some kind of maybe an edge or something. I don't know. Like probably none of the other people have gotten to see this, but also Bradley is looking at Ben. It's like, well, out of all these people, I think you're the one that has the best chance of winning this thing, and that's why I wanted to just kind of show you this to maybe give you hope or something." So we go on to have Ben find out from Bradley how is it that their sister had specifically gotten sick. It was all about radioactive dust, and that she had gotten cancer. So, with Bradley explaining this, in turn, Ben will realize that the network is trying to hide how people like Bradley's sister are to go on and get sick. And Ben wants to go on when he does these 10-minute videos and is to say, hey, Like, I'm going to go on and do this video specifically because I'm thinking that I should say this of that the network is not telling people about what's going on here. And so he goes on to this whole rant about how the network had gotten people sick and they're hiding it from people. Come to find out, the network isn't at all going to go on and say exactly what Ben is going to say on television. They've already pre-done these clips, and when Ben goes on and has this clip aired, it'll find out that the clip is to be completely different than what he had gone on to say. And when they show it on the television, uh, it'll be a thing to just tick people off. And Bradley's mother will go on and be like, "Hey man, you need to get him out of here." And Ben is like, "Hey, I didn't say any of that. They just put that on there. They just made that all up." And it's like, well, it doesn't matter. Like, this guy's just really dangerous. So it'll be forced to have Bradley's mother just get rid of Ben regardless because of how dangerous the situation has kind of been that they put him in, or that Ben has put this family in. So they go on and they take Ben and they put him in this car trunk and they drive off. Come to find out, the hunters are to go on and find Ben in this truck conveniently. At one point, there's a bullet hole going into the back of the trunk, and Ben looks outside the trunk and realizes that there's a couple hunters that are on motorcycles, and he's like, oh my god, what's going on? Bradley and his brother are driving in the car, and they're stopping the car to have the motorcycles either like flip from the car or get ran over, any number of things. Eventually, we'll come to find that Bradley and his brother will all get away from this scot free, and like, yeah, like we did it, like, and we'll not really see a good amount of it, but we'll see kind of bits and pieces here. So Ben gets out of the car, and he's handed this note. He's handed this note of where to go so he can find this specific guy who ends up going on and being Michael Cera's character, who is Elliot in this movie. And Elliot, it seems to be the hot dog cart vendor guy who has this story about his father who was a cop, and then he became this hot dog vendor guy. And him being this hot dog vendor guy was to give him all the freedom away from this system, and that the guys didn't like that he was going to have this hot dog vending job or this hot dog cart job, and so they killed him or they did something to him. And Michael Cera's character Elton will never forgive the system for that. And Bradley will also tell Ben, hey, don't tell him anything about hot dogs. And he's like, hot dogs? What are you talking about? He's like, yeah, don't bring it up. And here's where the first thing we see in the background of Richard Lives, as the boy had gone on to spray paint that. So we have Ben, and he has this priest outfit, and he's supposed to be this blind priest. Again, Ben is now just wearing a hat, and this is a disguise that nobody really knows that it's him. It's stupid, but it still exists. So Ben goes on, and since he has realized that the network won't allow him to just say whatever he wants in these video clips, Ben is to go on and just read off this very certain passage, and is to get a good laugh when he is to say it back in his own mind, because he knows what he's going to say here. So the host Bobby kind of takes offense that Ben is going on and kind of getting a good laugh at their expense and so on and so forth. So Bobby is going on and turning into like, well, hey, let's see Laughlyn's clip. So Laughlyn is going on, and it looks like she's at some club somewhere, and she's having a good old time. And there's strippers around her on these poles, and she's just like, just having a good old fun time. And so, if anything, if I were Ben, I would probably be concerned because it's like, well, hey, like they're definitely not going to find me, but maybe they're going to find Laughlyn. And once they find her, like, how much time do I really have of not being found if they can easily pin where she is? Because it seems that Laughlyn is much more of an in a public place, where it seems that honestly Ben is not. So Ben kind of goes on to make his way to see this motel owner be talking to these other guys. And they're talking about Ben and Laughlyn and this and that, and they're talking about the show. All while Ben is passing in his disguise, he's passing these people, and they're even going on and they're talking about Ben Richards. And they're asking the padre, the priest, like, hey man, like, do you know anything about this Richard guy? And Ben kind of turns like, no, I don't know anything about this Richard guy. He has this accent. He's like, yeah, well, he must be some guy then. And so Ben turns and walks off, and these guys are looking at this pastor as he's walking away. And so the motel owner needs to go on and tell these guys, yeah, he's effing blind, you idiots. Because he's obviously having this walking stick and he has sunglasses on even during nighttime. Oh, maybe it does say day 10. I didn't know it said days. And again, I'm watching this movie that's probably to have at some point done in a different country, because at the very bottom of the screen there is subtitles from a different language. So I'm assuming that maybe this movie was done in a different name, in a different language, in a different country. Plus, also it says DFA 10, whatever that means. I don't know what that means. So maybe it does say the days, and I'm just not quite sure what exactly that effing means. Anyways, moving on. So we would have Ben. He's going through the streets, and at one point, he ends up start talking to this guy. It honestly seems that this guy is to recognize him, because the further and further this guy is trying to grab Ben and is to try to continue to talk to him for obvious reasons, because he's like, there's something about this guy that just looks so suspicious. So shortly thereafter that, I think Ben ends up getting reported by that guy that he was talking to. So the hunters all start to come. Ben starts to rip away his clothes because he realizes that he's gotten noticed anyways. Ben continues to run, gets into his normal gear. People are chasing after him. Oh yeah. I'm assuming maybe the guy that was talking to Ben was eventually a hunter that was going after him. So Ben goes on and finds a train nearby. He jumps on one of the cars in the train, and that separates him enough from this hunter for him to be able to get away. Ben goes on to make his way into this other town. And this town is going on and having this projector that is showing the Running Man show. He has this medical mask over his face so no one is to really see who he is. Ben is going on and watching the Running Man show, and he is to go on and see that Lachlan is at this hotel, I believe, or this casino. Yeah, Holy Grail Casino. And Lachlan is going on and going to get shot in the head here, or what we'd assume to get shot in the head, because there's a target over her head. It seems that she ends up getting shot, misses. Lachlan starts running all over this casino here. She goes on, whips her camera out, and she's screaming and yelling at the people of the show, very upset with them as she's running away here. Eventually, what comes to happen as Lachlan thinks that she's completely gotten away, she's in this car, she's driving away, ha ha ha, look at me, I got away. Once she goes on and she stops somewhere and she starts doing the video and starts talking, we come to find that there are two kids that have these flamethrowers out and they kill Lachlan. They kill her. So we would go on to see that Bobby is going to reward these two kids with this certain amount of cereal. And this is to be just kind of some sponsor spot. It's like, well, yeah, you have these kids that are killing this woman. That seemed kind of just weird to me. But you're giving them cereal as a reward? Okay, all right, whatever. Like, I guess you couldn't pay them in money, right? Plus, you also just have to have the commercialization of just TV, right? Where you gotta have this sponsorship spawn. So now that Lachlan is off the board, I'm sure Ben is kind of just worried if he's going to be able to survive these 30 days. So Ben goes on and finds Michael Cera's character, the Elton character. I believe it's Elton. Because at some certain points it would say Elton here, and then in other things it would say some other name, which so I don't even know what to believe. I'm gonna go with Elton, and maybe at some point in here it'll probably correct me about that. So Ben goes on to see Elton's mother, and Elton's mother is screaming at the TV, and Elton tells Ben, it's like, well, hey, my mother isn't all that there. She's going on and thinking that whoever she's seeing on the screen is a demon, and so, like, if anything, we're in the clear. Like, she's not very coherent, so she probably won't even know what to see or hear. So Elton goes on and takes Ben into this certain room, and he talks about this certain propaganda thing, and he talks about all of these things that are to go on and be stuff that would tell uh, Ben what side this guy is really on. Then we would have Ben that is looking around, and Elton is like, you know what? Like, I feel that you're wanting to ask me something. Just ask me. So Ben goes on of like, well, hey man, I like the hot dog cart. What is the story about that? So Elton goes on and whips out this whole projector thing and goes into this whole story. And that's again about his father being a cop, switching into having this hot dog vending job, and the whole freedom of that was, yeah, like I had gone on to this whole thing, I had explained all that. So Elton goes to explain to Ben that that there is to be this shelter that Ben is going to possibly get to that is going to allow him to basically disappear for however long he needs. Way longer than the allotted time from this show, but regardless, it'll be a thing that Ben should try to get to. And he won't. Because Ben goes on and finds this certain area for him to just kind of hide out for a while, but he won't go on and find uh, this certain thing that Elton was to suggest for him to find. He just won't. So Elton goes on to tell Ben here that he'll have this very specific hideaway room for Ben after he kind of lifts this one piece of clothing, and then this secret area opens. And so Ben goes on and is doing this video. And he's doing this video specifically for his daughter. And is to tell her certain rules that she should abide by if he is to go on and die. And it's just the daughter and the mother. And for like the daughter to treat her mother like her best friend, and for her to take care of her mother, and so on and so forth. So, and continues to just try to teach his daughter everything that he possibly can, because he realizes that he could any day now just die. So he might as well just try to throw some words of wisdom, and also to like don't trust the network. Uh, Remember, your dad loves you a whole lot. So Ben goes on Ben makes his way through this house, and Elliot's mom notices him and starts calling him savage and wants to hit the report button. I don't know why, honestly. A guy like this, who is Elton, has a report button on him, but he has one. It's stupid, but he has one. Oh yeah, I guess his name is either Ellie or Elton. So either way. So Ben goes on and tries to stop Elliot's mother from going on and hitting the report thing. They're going on and trying to talk her into convincing her out of this. Ben goes on to tell her, hey, if you go on and you hit that report button, it's going to be a bloodbath. They're not going to care about you or him. They're just going to care about getting to me and killing me. So if they're coming for me, they're going to kill all of you. And so, yeah, you definitely should not go on and hit the report button. So, the further and further that there's a temptation, I guess, for Elliot's mother to hit this thing, Elliot himself just hits it anyways. I'm like, why? Why is this to go on and occur? I guess Elliot goes on and thinks that he has so many traps set up in his home anyways that feasibly he'll be able to go on and either get out of this, or he'll go on and kill all these hunters, and then like all Ben has to do is just wait out these 30 days because there'll be no hunters after him. But there seems to always be hunters. Like there isn't a certain set of number of hunters like in the original one. Like there was only really just Jesse Ventura by the end of the movie left in the original film. Whereas it seems that like hunters could just be cropping out of nowhere in this remake. So uh, hunters, it seems, are quickly making their way to this house. So Elliot is starting to set everything up. Elliot is trying to push his mother into a certain panic room, and then Elliot goes on to hit these toggles, ends up taking this cross, turning it upside down, taking this super soaker and just pumping it up. And we find that Elliot has electrical floors, so when these hunters start to come in, Elliot just starts spraying them down with water and electrifies them. So Elliot also got on to give Ben this map of where he should go to get to this to get to this salvation, to get to this seemingly bunker. So if anything does happen to Elliot, then at least Ben will have this map. But it'll probably take him forever to get to it, and then it'll eventually be a waste that he'll actually get to it. Oddly enough, so they start scrambling through this house, and eventually they'll make their way upstairs. And Ben is just so pissed off because, like, dude, you're taking us upstairs. Why upstairs? And then also, Elliot is attracting the guys to go upstairs. He's like, why are you doing this? Come to find out, Elliot has a trap for these people going up these stairs. And once he releases it, yeah, a lot of people get killed going up the stairs. So Ben again is confused why they went upstairs, and Elliot's like, well, hey, I have this pole that we can slide all the way down. That's why I went upstairs. Ben is like, why? It's like, just so we can do this? This is so dumb. So they go sliding down this pole. I'm like, what kind of Batman 66 nonsense is this? But whatever. So the two of them go down into this cave and make their way through it, and come to find one of the hunters is also in this cave. They have found this somehow, and they stab into Elliot, and now they're going on and facing off against Ben. As Ben and Hunter fight here, Elliot goes on and is to stab the Hunter in the Achilles tendon. He goes down. As Ben and Elliot try to get out of this cave, Killian goes on these glasses to try and get the attention of Ben. Ben puts the glasses on, and Killian makes the offer of, hey, if you go on and if you kill this hunter, uh, like it'll greatly benefit you. and Killian wants him to do it in a certain number of seconds. Ben goes on, is like, he starts to kind of think about it, and then he walks away. Ben and Elliot get into this like Humvee thing that goes crashing out of the shed, and they start flying because of how much speed they're getting. Elliot tells us that there is to be a lot of explosives that are in this Humvee, and Elliot goes on to tell Ben that he's the initiator. Here's where Elliot dies. He gets shot in the head. There's a helicopter that flies by. We find McCone, who's like, yeah, look at me. I just took your friend out. Ben is to drive and realize that there is a hunter in front of him, and the two of them are going to be playing chicken with one another on this bridge. The faster and faster both Hunter and Ben die, or Ben drive, Ben jumps off the Humvee and he dives off this bridge. The Hunter, I guess, oblivious to what Ben is going on and doing, he just keeps driving and he's like, and he's like crazy and whatever. So the Hunter is to have assumed exploded and dead, and Ben is to have jumped off, evading all of this. So Bobby is now going on to talk about how there are only so many hunters now left. There's seemingly only 4 of them left now. So the next thing we see is Ben is looking at the map of the place that he needs to head to. He goes on to continue to walk here and continue to walk as Bobby goes on and is to talk about Richards and how everybody should go on and try to find him, report him, so on and so forth, to hunt him down because everybody needs to go on and get to Richards. The next thing we'll see is Richards is at a pool that is to not quite be fully done yet, at a place that looks very deserted. Ben will go on at some point and find that there is this room that is glowing in this house. Ben will go into this house to find what looks like his daughter and wife there. They'll hug on him, kiss him, any number of things. Ben will be reminded of the sock. And Ben then turns and does this video. The next thing we see, I think this is the video that that Ben specifically does for Killian, I believe. And when the hunters find out where Ben is, they see on the floor this little video thing that says, "Hey, you mail it." Ben goes on to find a sign that says Canada, uh, X number of miles. Ben's plan is to try to get across the border to get into Canada. That seems to be his ultimate goal. And Ben will go on, and so this whole sign that says Canada on it is like a foreshadowing thing. Because Ben is going to try and get into a plane and say, yeah, my whole goal here is to try to get into Canada because that'll be long enough to stall till time starts to really run out. And they have to figure something out for me. So Ben is, of course, going on and seeing all these cars pass. So he goes on to try and stop one of the cars from passing, and Ben has a gun on him. And so we come so Ben gets in this car with a woman named Amelia. Regardless of if Amelia is to really want to help Ben or not, the later and later we get into this film, it feels like she is forced into it. She's forced into helping him. And that Amelia goes on and starts to see, it's like, well, hey, if anything, I think a lot of people could probably see me as a bad person or a bad guy. So, if anything, if I go on and I help you here, then maybe I won't be such a bad guy. So, as well as also like the lifestyle that this woman probably has, will go on and just kind of make her a bad person. Anyways, Ben takes this woman hostage. Here's where we go on with Ben giving her, of course, some time to talk to get her thing off her chest, and then Ben kind of interrupts her and then tells her about her family and the whole scarf thing, and goes further into that at some point with this dialogue. Ben will also find that these hunters are trying to immediately know that Amelia's car has been in it. So it seems that cars are trying to stop Amelia's car, and Amelia's car is starting to get damaged. Amelia is trying to drive wildly here, and the car is like recalculating and kind of telling Amelia that her car is getting damaged. And there's going to even be at one point where there is going to be an emergency vehicle that comes driving by, and that has Amelia forced to drive off to the side because her car will force her to do so. Ben will go on and try and have Amelia disable the emergency vehicle stop thing, but it'll be too late. Come to find out, the emergency vehicle will actually be just hunters, and Ben will state that, oh yeah, like of course this is the network trying to cheat things because they're now at a point of desperation to try to figure out a way to kill Ben here because they want to not get hit to where he gets to the 30 days. There is a camera that goes on to a pier here and does take out these men here, and Amelia is kind of confused why this camera had gone on to save them. And Ben is to say, it's like, yeah, like the network is protecting me now. and they know that they want to get this very specific amount of footage. Da, 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 da. So even at a point where Ben is to say to Amelia that, yeah, like, they want to kill me, but they want to kill me at a certain time of day, which made no sense to me. So they're waiting at like 8 o'clock or something like that to then shoot this live. And I'm like, okay, that makes no sense. Like, why wouldn't they just like pre-record all this footage and then shoot it whenever they want to? But also, for Ben, this starts to make him invincible to where he can do whatever he wants. So Ben and Amelia make their way to this blockade where all these hunters are there. Ben even is to at some point have his gun be given to Amelia, and then Ben ends up asking for it back, and then he takes the gun, he chucks it out the window because like, I don't think we need this anymore. This is way past even the runtime of this movie. It doesn't really matter to me. I'm just gonna just rattle this off anyways. I just want to get this just out there. Uh, I apologize for how long this took, and I'm sure how much detail I'm having to go into a movie that I didn't really exactly like, but I'm taking the time anyways because I just enjoy talking about movies, and I'm also just rattling about this kind of crap also, and that'll just get a lot of people very annoyed. Because I have to always go on and explain this. Like, God, I take so long to do these things, and I'm just gonna keep on going. Ben is to have a megaphone near his car for reasons I don't quite understand. Because I guess it's just convenient for film. Ben grabs the megaphone, starts talking to McCone, and gives a list of demands that he wants a plane to take him to Canada, and he wants also for them to give Amelia a parachute, and Ben is to state these demands because he has this explosive strapped to him, and he says that he has that because Molly had a huge number of explosives at his place, and that these hunters should know very well that Ben is to be carrying explosives. McCone goes on to his megaphone, says "Bullsh," like I'm calling you out, I'm calling you on your bluff, and Killian goes on and tells McCone, it's like no, 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 give in to everything that he wants, like so. They go on and they do the whole plane thing. They get them on the plane, and Ben tells McCone to take off his mask so he can see his face. McCone is like, oh, no, no, keep dreaming. I'm not going to do that for you. And Killian says, no, 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 do what he wants. So McCone reveals his face, and then they get on the plane. Ben makes his way to the reel of the captains and all the co-captains. I'm like, man, we're taking so much time to do this bullshit. Like, really? I don't like to cuss that often because I know that it probably hurts the video, but there's sometimes where I'm just like, what difference is it gonna make? What difference is it gonna make? Like, is this video gonna end up doing the one well thing that I would love it to? Believe me, I would. But at this point, I'm just like, I don't think new releases are ever gonna do that well again. there was a time the new releases were doing super well, but nowadays, yeah, it's nowhere near the numbers of maybe it'll do better than some of the videos that I've had going on, but yeah, it's just like there's oftentimes where a lot more hidden gem things that just have a certain thing about them will do surprisingly really well, but it's very rare for me to right now hit anywhere ballparkingly out of like 1,000 views for something. But even that, like, I'm so happy and grateful that anybody's gonna go on it and watch a video like 1,000 views is like really incredible. Uh, because of just how small this channel is and just how small. So like me saying any of this is really just very sour grapes and me just like woohoo, boohoo for my life. Like maybe do better videos, maybe find better things to talk about. That's on me. That really is. Maybe do the videos shorter. Maybe do shorts of these because feasibly, yeah, people have very short attention spans. I could really, of course, know that because of just the runtime of the average people that watch things. I get it. But and I think everybody who's kind of doing YouTube at some points does honestly have those frustrations and are going on and talk about it in a lot of the videos. So like I'm not the only one to just spout about this. Like I would start to go on and start to see a number of YouTubers that were to all kind of say the same thing. Uh, of just like, man, what could I do to, in the best way, like get the best retention? Like for me, there's a lot of just like certain things that I can't really do. Like this is the best I can do. This is really the best, uh, like I can put together. Uh, because this is my only a way of being able to do a review where other people can put in clips and probably get copyrighted and get claimed and stuff like that, and other people can do reactions and their stuff will get claimed and copyrighted, and it'll be a waste of time to have those videos come out. And there's a plethora of people that end up getting their channels completely like taken down or whatever because of that happening, or unmonetized, and so they basically realized that like, yeah, we can't do anything on our channel now because we can't get monetized anymore. So yeah, so it's sad for those people who had those things done. I guess feasibly I'm no different. I had gotten at one point monetized on another channel, and then quickly thereafter they're like, yeah, nope. And then I was like, okay then, like it's a good thing I did all that hard work for nothing. But then I just went on to this channel, like, okay, like let's try this, let's see what happens. And I'm grateful for all the people that are to be a part of this channel, and also anybody who goes on and views anything. I really am grateful. I really do appreciate it. And it's again not something that I feel that I'm forced to say. It's something that I'm happy to say because I feel for all my gripes and grievances and all the boohooery that I'm to ever have in my life, there's also the upside of like, hey, I get to do this every day and talk about these movies, and I get to have a free way to see them, and like I just figured that out, and so you could do it too if you wanted to. Anyways, I'm freaking tangenting off. I apologize. It's bound to happen anyways because I'm just a guy that just likes to fling my mouth out. Anyways, so we now get on the plane. We're on the plane. So everybody's going on and sitting down here. And McCone is tempted to just kill, honestly, Ben consistently within this plane ride. But feasibly, that's not really going to happen because they're waiting for showtime, as well as also, like, it's not really going to happen anyways. Because also, Ben is consistently teasing about that explosives. Killian comes onto the screen and like, hey, you know what? I know you're bluffing. Like, I know that this is just some purse. If anything, when you came in here, we did an X-ray scan. You have no explosives on you, so you're lying. So Ben goes on and gives uh, Amelia back her purse, and we have Killian that is willing to go on and talk to Ben and see if they can come to some kind of arrangement. And so here's where Killian is going to offer, hey, we can go on and put this story together, that you're going to be our new hunter, that we're going to really put a huge investment on you to be the next hunter for the show. And if anything, we're going to go on and have you just kill the rest of the other hunters off. And we're going to say that because if anything, we're going to put something in place because, hey, you know what? We want to go on and manipulate you as best we can. So we're going to show you a clip now where your daughter and wife were killed by previous hunters. So that way it'll force you to want to become a hunter for our show. Or we're going to manipulate you into possibly thinking that your daughter and wife are still dead, so you'll still work with us. Even though they may be dead, or they might be dead, it's Schrodinger's cat all over again. Either way, Ben will be manipulated to work with them. So what Ben does is he takes his TV screen and he breaks it because, of course, yeah, that would be the obvious response to all this because Ben is to see his wife and daughter be killed. Possibly, we will to go on by the end of the movie and realize what had really happened, that his wife and kid are still alive, and Ben will go on and find them shopping at some grocery place somewhere or some store somewhere, and he will go on to give them money, and Sheila will realize, oh, hey, yeah, who's that guy with the hoodie off in the distance? And she'll, I think, believe it's Ben. Because it's not really revealed that it's Ben, because Ben needs to keep his privacy and can't show who he is. And that's the way I think the movie quite possibly ends. There might be some end credit scenes I haven't seen if there's end credit scenes yet. So if there is, let me know in the comments below because I never saw those. So the Running Man turns on here, and Bobby is to start talking. So what happens here is that the pilots are to have suspicions that they should go on and try to kill Ben now. So one of the pilots make their way to Ben with the gun behind him. Ben has this coffee. He thrusts it at the captain, grabs the gun from him. The captain goes on and opens up the pilot's uh, the pilot's little room, their cockpit, and he tries to shoot them. They shoot at uh, the body shield that Ben has. He grabbed that guy that he took the gun from, and he's using it as a body shield. So they're blasting bullets at him. Ben will go on and kill all the pilots, all the people that are flying this ship, and then he'll turn and he'll go after McCone, who is still alive. Ben takes his gun and is blasting away through all of the bathrooms, assuming that McCone is hiding in one of the bathrooms because this is a plane. There's very few places to hide. Ben starts to make his way through the plane, and there is this secret underneath area that McCone opens, and thrusts Ben down to the ground. Ben and McCone start fighting, and here's where McCone reveals that he too was to have gone on and been a guy who had lasted supposedly really long or at the 30 days. And I guess he wasn't advertised as much as everyone else was. So he at one point had took the hunter's job, and so they allowed him to be a hunter after this. But so yeah, so he may have gone on and won this thing before, but they never advertised it, or maybe when they were doing the whole unaired pilot of this or something, maybe McCone. I don't know why they didn't go on and have this guy be a part of the history of the show. I don't get what they were trying to do there. Ben ends up getting stabbed in the chest here, as we were to really just assume, like, what is Ben gonna beat everybody and get out of this all unscathed? No, Ben should honestly get pretty bloodied and pretty beaten up here, and we really start to see it here, where he just has like his just face just all mangled, and McCone's eye is to be lost. He pulls the piece of glass out of his eye, which is awful. They end up using one of the cameras also as a weapon, which is kind of cool because it's like flying around anyways. Might as well use it as a weapon. At one point, I think one of the windows ends up getting busted open here. Or with the fact that the plane kind of being uh, just non-piloted, like I'm sure there's some kind of like jockeying around, and Ben does go on and does kill McCone here. Or maybe he. I'm trying to think how exactly McCone is to be killed. Because all I remember is right after this, Ben turns to Amelia and asks for her scarf. Yeah, the more expensive one. So that way he can wrap his bandage up. Amelia is to be shucked out of the plane while she is to be having this parachute on. And Ben is at the front of the plane. And Ben is making his way to the back to the network building, and Killian is going on telling Ben that what they're going to set up here is that the plane is now to have made their way to Canada, that instead the plane is making their way to the network, and that they're going to crash the plane, or they're going to blow up the plane before Ben is going to crash the plane. And so also they have ahead of time set up this video saying that Ben is to be threatening that he wanted to kill everybody before, so he's gonna do so now that he's made his way to the network, and so they're gonna shoot down the plane before he can get there to try to make the network kind of save them or save Skin or save whatever, save their lives, save their butts. But it is really interesting how Ben was trying to make this video and try to say to stop watching the network, and he goes on to this whole long rant, and it is kind of interesting because the conspiracy theorist guy who was to talk about the show afterwards was to say, yeah, like Ben, he was to have possibly escaped this plane, as well as also we had gotten a video recording of what Ben had really said instead of what they sent to us. So the guy got on to showing the actual videotape of what Ben really did say, and so that ends up getting out to the masses. And after that, we turn around and have everybody on the show say Richard lives, and everybody had turned Richard into a martyr, a hero, a good guy. So, in a nutshell, that's kind of what all happened, like from this entire rest of this film here, with the exclusion of me not exactly knowing what had happened to McCone, but really, that's in a nutshell what all happened. I didn't talk about what happened on the show. What happens on the show is Killian is forcing Bobby to host the show again, and he's seeing all these Richard Lives signs, and Bobby's like, dude, I'm not gonna go on and host anymore because we've kind of ruined this show now, and a lot of people are behind Richard and not behind us, so we've kind of ruined this whole show. And so Bobby walks off. Keelan's like, hey, you have a contract, and Bobby is to say, well, yeah, but read this one section of the contract that says you, and Bobby walks off. So Killian is like, okay, I guess I'll be the host now because I was on the show anyways. So Killian is going to go on and figure out a way to kind of save things. Killian goes out there and he's met by seemingly people just starting to riot and start to use explosives. And so Killian is scrambling throughout the show. He's fumbling, he's falling. And when he tries to get back up, he is to be met by Ben, who has this hoodie on, he has this hat, and he starts to do this countdown, and he says action, and he fires his gun to kill Killian, and that is to go on and wrap up this movie. I've gone on and kind of stated everything else that kind of happens by the end of this movie, but also I probably had kind of stated some things. I also really do want to go on and apologize for how I've kind of been going on when we go into the full details of this. How eventually I'll continue to just go back to the same like way of talking. I've realized that now that I may go on and I may uh, feasibly say certain phrases over and over and over again. I apologize for that. It's there's just some things that I feel that I just need to just figure out a way storytelling to say things like there's stuff where I don't know what exactly I'm going to say, so I just need a bit of time to figure out what I'm going to say next. And so, yeah, so that really goes on and it affects what I'm going to say next. But anyways, it is what it is. I'm sorry. There's a lot of times where I probably repeat myself or any number of things. I know I'm probably not really good at this, if I ever was, but I do really enjoy doing it. I really do hope that someday that I will get better at this, and not better meaning like, oh yeah, the numbers are gonna just do gangbusters and I'm gonna just pick the right things. Like at some point I'll go on and hopefully get some kind of upswing on this channel eventually. Probably won't be today, probably won't be tomorrow, but maybe at some point I will go on and get at a better pattern of choosing projects. Because what else do I have really left to, uh, other than making just shorter videos? Like I have nothing left to do at this point to really make a drastic change, which is true. Like I have endless amount of things that I could choose to review at any point, other than like going back to certain projects that I've kind of done in the past and rehash them, which won't turn out well. Uh, Even though Power Rangers, that was to go on and be for one video like a difference maker. Like it's not going to go on and be a consistent doing well thing, because it all depends on the exact specific episodes. It all depends on if uh Tommy's to be the focus, Tommy's involved. Yeah, like there's a lot of things where it just needs the perfect thing to get people really and truly interested, and I just don't have that with all of the things that I have just left to review on movies and shows now. Uh, at a point, it was crazy just seeing these certain comic book projects or these certain superhero films that were just all just hitting really well, and I just got really lucky at that. And even when I was to turn around and just be like, okay, well, like let's make the thumbnails look better and see where that was gonna if that was gonna drastically change things. Yeah, just didn't really move the needle whatsoever. So it's just like, okay, so it doesn't really matter if I make the thumbnails look better. Like it just matters that the whatever thing I'm doing just has to be oddly the most trending possible so I just got to find the most trending possible thing and then just ride that wave and hope that it's some franchise or some probably show that I've done one episode off of. Just be like, okay, let's write on that. Uh, but there was a lot of stuff that I had to just sift through and sift through. Uh, a lot of research to be taken to just be like, okay, good. At least this show was uh, was something that had something there. And I know a lot of people are probably thinking it's like, man, if you probably just did like Stranger Things or Game of Thrones, I'm sure everybody would just hop on those, because I'm sure a lot of people probably aren't exactly going on and doing like Game of Thrones right now, because that show has been such a long thing. But I'm sure a lot of people probably still like to see people reviewing those or whatever. Like there is probably a lot of stuff that probably still has a fan base, but I don't know if anybody would really care about a review of stuff right now, of like stuff of old popularity of things like, but like surprisingly Power Rangers still has its fan base that they'll go into YouTube videos and watch those, which I appreciate. As well as also like certain people just kind of building an entire channel off of like Power Rangers, which that is a good and a bad thing. Like for me, I try to be more neutral, and I don't try to hang on to one specific thing, because one, uh like a thing like Power Rangers, like people have made a living off of that. Like, people obviously have been very smart and intelligent about that, but it also will, like, eventually paint me into a corner, and then also, like, I want to keep trying to find the most trending thing rather than just hanging on to just like, I'm still, even though I could probably say that a lot of the previous successes have been behind me, like, I still feel that I still have time to find what's best for the channel and what's right for it. And also, there's a plethora of different movies that I've talked about in the past that I've never finally gotten on to actually talking about them on this channel. So maybe I'll get to a point where I finally actually talk about something and it becomes a thing on the channel. Hopefully that'll actually be accomplished. But either way, I think I'm just to have exhausted myself with all the options of what to do in future things, because I do actually have plans for what I'm going to put out, which is it's always really nice. But then I only have like a certain number of days of content, and then I just start to just be like mowing on of like, well, like, what am I gonna do now? What am I gonna do now? Like, shouldn't I do more research? Shouldn't I find more things? And so, yeah, so I do have a couple of movies kind of right now that have already been thumbnailed and already been put out, and I'm sure there's still going to be certain stuff that I will probably on the day just kind of change up and kind of think, oh yeah, I should do this now, or I should do this movie, or I should do this show. But I have things just kind of stored away and already prepared for the following days of when I do a video next. It probably won't be uh, again. It'll probably be every other day until I have these kind of lighter workout days, and then you'll kind of see more videos daily. And then once we start to get back to the rotation of certain heavier workout days, then you see every other or whichever. But I'm trying as best as I can to be more consistent, and I'm trying as best as I can to put these videos out, even though they're freaking long and they're like 3 hours, and it doesn't make sense to watch these videos. I get it. Uh, I hopefully will go on and have probably, uh, in my mind, because yeah, also there seems to be a lot of, like, let's say, adult movies that I could still pull from at any point in time, and it was miraculous that there was stuff like Mammal that went surprisingly really well, and that was kind of like one of those kind of adult movies. And then you get stuff like Species or Sliver or whatever, and Species 2 I think is still going on and being some kind of something, but probably not for me specifically. Uh, but yeah, but it's kind of really interesting to find out, like, okay, so I could probably still do these certain kinds of movies, but kind of do them in a kind of more cryptic kind of way of talking about them, because obviously you can't talk about certain things on YouTube, but you can kind of dance around it a little bit, which hopefully this time around I've gotten better at. Maybe, I don't know. If anything, I tend to spell things out, or kind of figure out like secondary things of talking around things, because I just can't. I just honestly can't, because I have to avoid it because of YouTube. And if I feel like I spell it, or if I kind of figure out other ways that it, like, then it'll just kind of miss something when they go on and they look for it. Why should this be so hard? Why should this be so hard? I don't know. I'm not on the comments below why it should be so hard. Uh, maybe it's not that hard. Well, I'm sure you could probably see a number of other YouTubers and a number of other. It's like, oh yeah, it comes so easy to them. Yeah, it does. Um, but it also comes down to to their lifestyle, their financial affordabilities, and just the quality uh, that is really and truly there. Uh, me, I'm still have not perfected anything yet. I still haven't perfected anything at all. So that's why it's much harder for me because I'm still not really actually. Uh, I still haven't probably found what other people have perfected at this point. So with that said, I'm just gonna really just keep uh, stupidly putting my foot in my mouth until I hope that that'll show some kind of fruit. I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm so exhausted and tired. Man, there are several days where I'm just like, I don't know if I should do a video today, but I'm like, but I gotta keep consistent. I gotta keep going. So I honestly wish I can give myself a like a break to just have like one day where I'm not doing any workouts or any videos or just have one day to myself. But I don't and I shouldn't. And also, there's a lot of people that have that same kind of thing where they go on and they're like, well, yeah, like I want to have a movie night or I want to have this or I want to have that. And I don't. I just work consistently. And there have been times where I've just taken like just weeks off and I've just rested and it's just like, but eventually things like those, it's like, well, hey, like one day accidentally becomes a number of days that I just don't keep track of how long I've been off the channel for. Because if I don't have these videos, then it's kind of like I just lose track of time. Anyways, I'm going to get the heck out of here. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for watching this. Uh, Probably the reason why I'm to not be good at this is because you get ends of videos like this. So thank you for watching this. I appreciate it. I really do. I'm not. If people were thinking that I'm saying all this stuff because it's a script, it's a forced thing, I'm not that good at talking. I'm not that good at being some weird, goofy character. Well, honestly, me saying, howdy all you delicious people, like, that would probably not be something that I'd probably say to the common Joe Schmo person as I'm walking by and meeting somebody. That is the most unusual greeting. At some point, I would just go on from time to time and say howdy to somebody. So technically, the howdy thing does that is a thing that I would say to somebody, and then they would laugh and they'd be like, "Did you seriously say how to me to me? How to me?" And like, yeah, why not? Like, it's just a thing to say. It's say hi, hello. Like I've had to say hi, hello to like 30 other people. They're like, you're the 31st person, so I just say howdy. It just sounds different, and they laugh and they're like, okay, hi, whatever, howdy. It's like, yeah, it's just like maybe sometimes like that's the better thing to just get people to laugh, to just smile and just think of how weird that was and then just walk on by because oh wow, like I probably would say that that is the weirdest intro, but immediately once you go into the video you laugh because I've had other people that find the video and they're like, oh, that intro is stupid and weird. Like, yeah, so is this outro. Bye everybody. Bye everybody. Bye everybody.